In the cold silence above the clouds, a streak of silver once carved its name into the sky. A machine so fast, so unforgiving, that pilots called it the missile with a man in it. This is the story of the F-104 Starfighter. It began in the early 1950s, when the United States Air Force faced a new and frightening reality. Soviet jet fighters were evolving at a pace never seen before, and American pilots returning from Korea spoke of battles where speed, not maneuverability, had become the defining measure of life or death. The Air Force needed a fighter that could climb faster, fly higher, and strike harder than anything the world had ever seen. Lockheed's legendary engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson believed he had the answer. He imagined a jet so minimal, so focused, that it would carry only what it absolutely needed: an engine, wings, a cockpit, and a gun. Everything else was weight. Everything else was compromise. The result was the F-104 Starfighter, a marvel of extremes. Its design defied convention. The wings were razor-thin slabs of metal, barely more than 5 inches thick at the root, and short enough to fit within the length of the fuselage. These wings reduced drag dramatically, enabling astounding speed, but left almost no room for fuel or landing gear. The aircraft relied on titanium and advanced alloys to handle the intense aerodynamic stress generated at Mach 2. Inside the pointed nose sat early generations of sophisticated radar, firstly in ASG-14, later upgraded in various international versions, giving the Starfighter limited but valuable air intercept capability. Its cockpit was tight and utilitarian, dominated by analog gauges, surrounded by a fuselage shaped with one purpose in mind: slicing through the atmosphere with minimal resistance. At the heart of the aircraft lay its defining force, the mighty General Electric J79 turbojet. This engine was a breakthrough capable of delivering roughly 10,000 pounds of thrust dry and more than 15,000 pounds with afterburner engaged. When lit, the J79 transformed the Starfighter into a spear of flame. Pilots described the acceleration as brutal, almost violent, especially during the aircraft's record-breaking climbs. The jet could reach speeds over Mach 2.0, ascend at more than 45,000 feet per minute, and operate at altitudes above 50,000 feet. Its range, roughly 1,000 miles with drop tanks, was modest, but the F-104 was never designed for long-distance patrols. It was created for short, decisive bursts of speed and altitude, an interceptor with the reflexes of a striking snake. Despite its minimalist design, the Starfighter carried a formidable arsenal. At its core was the M61 Vulcan, a 6-barrel 20mm rotary cannon capable of firing 6,000 rounds per minute. This gun became a standard on generations of American fighters. The F-104 also carried a IM-9 Sidewinder infrared missiles, turning it into a deadly high-speed dogfighter in the hands of skilled pilots. Some versions supported bombs, rockets, and even nuclear payloads, giving NATO forces a fast reaction strike platform during the tensest years of the Cold War. Electronic countermeasures evolved over time, with later export versions gaining improved radar warning receivers and chaff dispensers. Its operational history was as dramatic as its design. The Starfighter set world records in the 1950s for speed and altitude, proving the radical concept worked. In service, however, its unforgiving flight characteristics demanded exceptional discipline. It was beloved by some pilots, feared by others. In the hands of the U.S. Air Force and later operators such as Germany, Italy, Taiwan, and Canada, the aircraft saw extensive peacetime service and limited, but significant combat use. Pakistan employed F-104s with notable success in the 1965 Indo-Pak War, where its speed and climb performance allowed it to challenge slower adversaries. In NATO, the jet became a frontline nuclear strike platform, a role few aircraft of its size ever matched. But the Starfighter's reputation was shaped equally by its triumphs and tragedies. Its thin wings and high landing speeds demanded perfect precision. Countries operating the aircraft under poor weather conditions or with insufficient pilot transition training suffered high accident rates, unfairly branding the jet with a dark legacy it didn't entirely deserve. Tactically, the F-104 was a specialist. It excelled in vertical combat zoom climbs, high-speed slashing attacks, and rapid disengagement. It was not built to turn tightly with fighters like the F-86 or MiG-21 instead. Pilots used energy tactics, preserving speed like a precious resource. In the interceptor role, it could sprint to altitude faster than almost anything of its era, fire its weapons, and escape before the enemy could react. In strike missions, the jet relied on low-level penetration at astonishing speeds, using surprise and velocity as its primary defense. Against rivals, the F-104 occupied a unique niche compared to the Soviet MiG-21. The Starfighter was faster in a straight line and could outclimb almost any opponent of the time. But the MiG enjoyed superior agility and was easier to maintain when placed beside aircraft such as the F-4 Phantom. The Starfighter was smaller, simpler, and dramatically more specialized. The Phantom could carry more weapons and operate in more roles. But few jets then or now could match the raw, needle-like purity of the F-104 speed-focused design. Decades later, the Starfighter's legacy endures. Italy operated upgraded versions, the F-104S and OSA, and well into the 2000s, giving the aircraft radar-guided missiles and improved avionics. Civilian organizations continue to maintain a few flyable examples for research and training, ensuring that the jet remains more than a museum piece. Although modern fighters like the F-22 and Eurofighter have long replaced its operational role, the Starfighter's influence lives on in the pursuit of aerodynamic extremes and the relentless quest for air superiority. In the end, the F-104 Starfighter stands as both a symbol and a lesson, a reminder of a time when the race for speed pushed engineers to the edge of possibility, a machine that rewarded mastery and punished hesitation. It was beautiful, dangerous, visionary, and flawed, an aircraft born from urgency, refined by innovation, and remembered by those who flew it as something unforgettable. In the quiet of history, the Starfighter remains a silver blade against a blue sky, a testament to what happens when human ambition meets the limitless frontier of the air.